You don't get triggered or anything by like drugs and alcohol, do you?
I mean, I'm pretty diligent about, staying active in the recovery community. So, like,
How long have you been sober?
17 years.
I was betting him before we came here. I'm like, I think it was 10 years. He goes, I'm taking the under on that. There's no way it's been 10 years.
Wow. No,
Over 10
flies,
years. 17.
Man.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? I got sober March 10th of 2008.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You know, I was,
man.
Thanks,
that's
bro.
amazing, dude.
I mean, I couldn't be more grateful, man. It's like, without being sober, I'd be so screwed.
Yeah.
So like being in a comedy club, seeing people just like slamming beers and drinking liquor doesn't bother you?
I mean, the way that we work it, it's like, you ask yourself, do you have a legitimate reason for putting yourself in an environment where people are drinking?
Right.
And
Sure.
it's pretty black and white.
Yeah, I've
got a legit reason to be there.
Yeah. I felt really weird. The other day I went to dinner with Kirk Hammett of Metallica.
Oh, wow.
And he's been sober for 10 years. And he's like 60 something. And I should have realized this, but I had never been in this situation before. And maybe you can tell me if I was right or wrong. I think I was probably wrong. So we were all sitting at dinner, and him and like the 4 people with him, they all ordered non-alcoholic beers. And they got to me, and I'm like, I'll take a Budweiser.
Yeah.
And then I was like drinking it, and I was thinking about it. After I got it, I kind of felt weird. And then afterwards, I was like, fuck, I think I just pissed him off.
Not even.
You don't think?
No.
Not for sure not. Like, it's like this. If you were having dinner with a bunch of diabetic people, do you think they would give a crap if you ordered a dessert? You know, like,
right.
It's
right. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
They have an illness, and they're treating it, and you don't have that illness, so it's not. Yeah. It's not. It's not your issue what's going on with them, and like personally, it's also just like we don't want to be the sober people. Don't want to be the arbiters of what other people do. You know? Like, right. Oh, dude, like you got to be a wet blanket. Like, no, I'm sure he wouldn't have cared. And like the difference for me is when it comes to smoking pot, like because like if we're sitting here and you're like smoking pot, then I've got secondhand smoke like entering my lungs, and like to me that is like a super bummer. And then on top of that, like I love the way marijuana smells. you know, like I don't want to be smelling it. Right. Like and I don't want it entering my body. That's why there was like such the controversy, you know, like the headlines when I said that I was just confused and kind of offended when Bill Maher asked me to go on his podcast, but I knew that like he's a prolific pothead, and I was like, hey, could you not smoke pot for me? And he was like, oh no, that's what I do. That's a deal breaker. Really? And I just thought that's weird because like
after you had already gotten there?
No. This was in advance. So, I got you. So no big deal. But it's like Mike Tyson's podcast is called Hot Boxing. Like Mike Tyson is like a prolific pothead, like big time. Be Real. You don't get more like Mount Rushmore of potheads, than like Be Real. And both Be Real and Mike Tyson, like, were okay with making it an hour without smoking pot, like because I don't want to breathe it into my lungs. Right. And it's crazy how that divided the internet. Like, so many people were like, oh, dude, Steve-O, like, like, kind of like what you imagined Kirk Hammett might be thinking. Yeah. And I don't want to belabor that point or drag Bill Maher through the mud anymore.
That's a weird thing.
I just use it as an example because, like what's in your cup is not entering my body. Right. Now, there's another sort of level to it where, like, if you're sitting there snorting lines of cocaine, then, that's not going to be entering my body. But I don't need to be around that because there's not really, casual, like, social cocaine, there's, it's totally reasonable for people to be drinking in a way that's not like,
in your face about it.
And it's not about in your face, but it's reasonable for people to be drinking in a moderate, healthy, like, not destructive and
yes.
you know, but like that just doesn't really apply to cocaine.
So, right. Somebody who's on cocaine, your personality doesn't really jive with somebody who's not doing cocaine. Right. You typically, both people have to be doing cocaine to be on like the same level.
It just, I think that, so I just don't need to be around that necessarily. And for that matter, if you were sitting there getting like knocking back like a dozen shots in a row and slobbering drunk, like I wouldn't want to be around that either.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, of course.
But
it's all about moderation. Right?
Yeah,
like it's all about moderation.
That's one thing that I'm not capable of.
You're not.
I resign myself to that. I'm not a moderate guy.
It's all or nothing. Yeah, no, that's
much.
That's the crazy thing about, you know, some people can do stuff and like dabble in certain things, whether it be drugs or gambling or whatever the it is. And some people, like, whether it be genetic or whether it be just like the way they were raised, like their early life, they can't manage it, you know? How
do you feel about the way that gambling is just like such a gnarly epidemic at this point?
I fucking love gambling, dude. I love sports betting the best because it makes it so much more fun. When you watch the games or the fights and you actually like have a bet or like a parlay, you're so much more locked in, dude. Right. I don't think gambling's the problem. I think it's the people that are the problem. It's the same thing with driving, right? Like, driving kills a ton of people when they drink and mix drugs with it. You do it the wrong way, or you can't manage it, or like guns, right? If you don't know how to use a gun or know about gun safety, right? You shouldn't be using a gun.
Right. Okay.
And it's like you gotta like gamble in moderation. You gotta be able to control yourself, just like with using drugs. If you want to do coke every once in a while, God bless you, but you shouldn't be doing it every single day before and after work.
I don't know that anybody can do coke whatsoever. I mean, maybe I suppose they can. I've heard stories about people that, I mean, I don't know. I know
a lot of people who can do coke and manage themselves and like live very successful lives, like functioning on it.
Right. I think that's very interesting because I got really bent out of shape at one point. I was like, you know, the last year, 2024, was like a pretty difficult year for me, like in general. And I was like, all right, you know, coming into this year, I remember thinking like, okay, you know what, like I gotta like just double down on, you know, my recovery, just being a good guy, and like faith in the universe, like having order and intelligence to it. And if I just like, you know, really like make that my priority, everything else is going to work out. And in the very beginning of this year, I had a random opportunity to go interview Mark Wahlberg for my podcast. And I was like, you know, talking to him, and I was like really like in this space, and I know that he's like a, you know, very religious guy, and I was like, man, you know, like what I feel so strongly about at this point is, you know, my relationship with God, you know, like call it whatever you want, the universe, God, but like I really felt passionately about that, you know, in them, and I do still now. It was a great interaction. Then, you know, cut to like a week later, 2 weeks later, whatever it was, and I was walking with my dog through a state park, and it occurred to me that as the podcast had just gone live, that I had the audacity to talk about how important I felt my relationship with God was, and cut from that conversation to a promotion for gambling. You know, I just thought like, oh my God, like I was like, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, oh my God, I was like, I felt like I don't have to look at the comment section to know, like, just people are like, you know, like hypocrite, like, oh my God, yeah, like, wait, you know, and that's when like negative feedback like really affects me, is when I agree with it, you know? And so like, I didn't have to look, and I just knew that and I was just like, man, I just can't do that anymore, you know?
I don't think gambling's the devil though.
Well, I mean, if you look at like the the like how much money is generated by it, like like how much they pay podcasters to promote gambling, how much like everywhere, like all of this money's coming from somewhere. It's like kind of like looking at Las Vegas, like each new casino is like a bigger and more extravagant, like $1 billion, you know. It's like it's pretty self-evident to look at Las Vegas that the what's building all of these amazing, huge
not winners
casinos. Yeah, like right. And so I don't know. I think that that the statistics on gambling are really pretty gnarly, and it's just so in your face all the time. And whatever, you know, like I agree, because exactly what I said about your dinner with Kirk Hammett could totally apply here. It's like, hey, you know, like it's totally reasonable for people to gamble in a moderate way. Like, I just like it. I mean, and you got to follow your gut, is what it is, you know. Like, and my gut told me, man, I can't mess with that anymore. So I'm just not.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, I've not promoted gambling since.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is Bam like living in Florida now? Because I see him on Instagram all the time.
He's very nomadic.
Oh, okay. I thought he maybe had like a probation officer or like a.
I think he's free and clear.
Is
he? Of all that stuff.
Dude, he's ripping on the skateboard again.
He really is.
He's back.
Yeah.
It's insane to see.
Yeah.
I don't know how long he's been sober, but like to see how he basically went downhill after the whole after Viva La Bam, I think it was the last one.
Yeah, I think.
And then the Jackass stuff, like it's just like, and that's one of the things too that's crazy to me is like when somebody gets fame so early, it's really hard for them to like get a real grip on reality. You know what I mean? Especially when like you have everyone that's giving you everything you want and you have unlimited access to money and drugs and stuff like this. I feel like it's a common theme. I feel like, you know, like what happened with Bam.
I think anybody who has you know, any measure of celebrity bestowed on them, you know, like fame and fortune, comes with growing pains, I think, regardless of what age you're at. Certainly it's going to be harder to navigate if you're super young when it happens. But I think that I you know, and I just think every case is different.
Yeah. I thought it was super sad when we were talking to Novak to like, because I guess him and Novak don't talk anymore, right? Is that what he was saying?
I don't think so. Yeah, not at that time. I don't know if they do now.
I mean, he went for a long time not even talking to his parents, you know, and even now I think he only texts. But
yeah, that's just it's super crazy to me because like, you know, we grew up like watching all you guys like doing all this crazy stuff together, and that's like what inspired like me to even like get into doing this stuff.
It's crazy. I don't think there's anybody who's not been rooting for Bam to do well, like wanting him to be like, and that includes like Knoxville, Tremaine, like everybody like wants him to be happy and healthy, successful and thriving, like without exception. And you know, like I just view that it comes down to accountability, you know, like it seems very evident that he's managing to stay out of jail and out of rehab, and like that's great. And it would certainly seem that he's you know, abstinent from drugs and alcohol. I just think that the key difference, what's going to unlock his potential, is to stop blaming you know, everybody else, because like, you know, like whenever he finds himself in front of a microphone, it just sure seems like he's like, oh, Knoxville and the thumbtacks and you know, like you know, whatever it is, like it's just this this kind of, it seems like victim mentality, you know, and like, and it's everybody but him, and like he's never like everything just happened to him, and I just believe strongly that if you want to, you know, assume the mentality of a victim, it's very easy to do that. But then you've relinquished control over your circumstance. You know, like when you take responsibility and accountability for your situation, like you can get a lot more done. You know, you can.
Sure.
And I think that like when people are accountable, that in and of itself, like, just you know, cultivates respect, and it's endearing, you know.
No, but like it's got to be a hard thing for him too, because I think I could be wrong, but I think he like just dropped out of school to skateboard all the time, right? When he was really young, his parents, which is like a double-edged sword, because like on one hand, you're enabling him to do like what ended up creating who he ended up being, which is Bam, like superstar, like, and on the other hand, it's like, you missed out on like a lot of like normal like life experiences and learning lessons that normal people usually get. And for me, it seems like that combined with Ryan Dunn dying seemed to be like what really catapulted him down that rabbit hole, or that dark spiral,
I mean, sure. Yeah, I mean, like, it definitely didn't help,
Yeah.
But I also understand that Ryan Dunn was very much alive and present for at least one of Bam's interventions.
Oh, really?
I
see. Oh, okay.
So, like, the issues were there already.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but whatever. I mean, I'm still, like, like, I absolutely believe that it's never too late,
Yeah, totally.
And especially when it comes to alcoholism and addiction, there's no such thing as too far gone. There literally isn't, like if anything, there's such a thing as not far gone enough, like it's perhaps counterintuitive, but, the first step is we admitted we were powerless, that our life had become unmanageable, like the first step is to admit defeat. And if you're not far gone enough, if you're like, I don't have a problem that's that bad, like I still kind of got it, then you're just not a candidate.
Bad enough to keep going.
You're not, and that's like to me
never recover from it.
100%. That's to me the worst situation would be to just kind of have alcoholism. Like enough that it can slow you down and screw up your relationships and stop you from accomplishing your goals, but it's not bad enough that it needs to be addressed.
Right.
So like your life just slips through your fingers, just years at a time, decades go by, and then you're like, what? I blew it.
Yes.
As opposed to having alcoholism so terribly bad that it cannot continue.
Ever,
Right.
Like me and Novak, basically, I would say, like the way that we were operating was not okay.
God,
we had to acknowledge that. And because it was so bad, then we became willing to address it. Like you really want to overshoot the mark of like
You really
of
want
needing
to
help.
overdo it.
Yeah, you don't want any like
You don't
plausible
want to just dabble.
deniability.
Right.
Like that I'm so grateful for that, because like I do not have to wonder if I need to do the stuff that the sober people need to do. Like it's very clear to me. Like I have, like it,
You have to.
I got it.
Yeah.
So like having, being in like a gray zone, it's not bueno when it comes to this.
Yeah, because you could just end up just going farther and farther and farther until you end up dying. And it's a miracle some of the, like Novak didn't fucking die.
Big time. I mean, when your situation's as bad as ours was, and then you actually do something about it, like, all right. Because, like, being wasted all the time, it's such a time suck. It's such a resource drain. Like, and on top of that, you're creating so much wreckage and like, just being counterproductive, like, going in the wrong direction. And then, like, when you, like, actually get clean and sober, like, you've now freed up so much of your time, so much of your resources.
Right.
Like you're not like trying to undo damage. Like you're not on defense. Like,
but what if they work together though? Like some of the biggest rock stars in the world who are literally in their 20s getting paid to fly jets around the world.
Right.
And as soon as they land, a chauffeur shows up with a briefcase full of cocaine and every single drug known to man. And it's just enabling you.
I mean,
I think there's an argument to be made that drugs can enhance creativity and like,
sure.
And I feel like there's a lot of big artists who were way better before they got sober. And once they got sober, their music just sort of like dried up.
I had an interesting conversation one time. Somebody said, give me an example of of bands or musicians that have been around for decades and made their best music at the end of their career.
When they got sober.
Well, no, I'm not even talking
the
about
end of their career.
Just like in the back half of and I was like, oh come on, there's got to be, and then like the more we thought about it, it's like so like I'm suggesting that by this argument, sobriety is not a factor there, but just like the longer you're at it and the more you're doing it, like. I mean, who can think of, maybe we put it to the comment section, like suggest bands that have been around for decades that are
Metallica's a good example. Their new album is actually really fucking good. Like it's on par.
I mean, so now
you're not going to say it's not Ride the Lightning. It's not,
right. Yeah, I mean, you just like made a glaring point, valid point that like we're in a deeply subjective water.
Yeah.
So, so you can only kind of go with like consensus and maybe like take it to a poll, like the majority of people think, but yeah, it's interesting, man. And I don't disagree. There was a point like for me, like to the point of like successful and everything's working, like in my early career, like being out of control and wasted all the time, like it just worked right in there with my brand,
Yeah.
And you see BAM still like trying to like oh yeah, the more we're on TMZ, like the the better it's publicity, and like it's there's a point when it was working and that was great and I got away with it.
Yeah.
And there's a point when it stops working. And I think that, on some level, there's a lot of, my wasted years that was of supreme value in a creative sense. But as I got towards the end of my run with drugs and alcohol, it had really devolved, and then it was just like, oh, what did I pee on this time? Like, oh, Steve-O peed on a red carpet, or like,
Yeah.
Got kicked out of here for doing that, like
creativity wasn't so fresh anymore.
I heard this story years ago. I never knew if it was true or not. That you got trolled through, what was it, Boca Grande Pass, dressed as a tarpon in a tarpon suit. Is that real?
No.
Damn it.
No, I definitely
because Boca Grande is like where everyone catches the tarpon, and like you can go catch a tarpon and like any day of the week, cameraheads will come up and just eat these like 200-pound tarpon in one bite.
That didn't happen.
Okay.
Pontius rode we towed him on an inflatable orca in Alaska with like legit wild orcas in the shot, like right behind him.
Shit.
I think Manny told me about this. He said you guys dumped him in the water in front of the...
apparently, if I remember correctly, there was not a lot of there was like not a lot of data from like humans swimming with wild orcas.
Right.
And like they didn't know what was gonna happen. They knew that like if the orca's gonna kill you, you're gonna get killed.
They kill great white sharks.
Yeah, big time. But our experience was, and everyone was a little bit surprised, that trying to swim with the orcas, you just couldn't get near them. They just didn't want to mess with you.
Yeah.
Manny was in that water, like trying to go ride an orca.
What a psycho,
they weren't having it.
Yeah, he said that you guys saw it in Alaska, like a pod of orcas, and he was like, go drop me off in front of him. And he's like, I got in the water, and the visibility was like this in that water.
Right.
And he didn't see it until like it was literally right next to him.
I don't think he even managed to get, I just think that they weren't cool with being around humans.
Really?
If I remember
I don't think there's ever been a case where an orca's attacked a human in the wild.
Never once.
Isn't that strange, dude? Because they fucking eat dolphins, they eat great whites just for their liver. Like they fuck animals up. Yeah. But not humans. They don't want to mess with humans.
SeaWorld.
Yeah, well, unless you put them in a tank, then they'll drown you.
Oh yeah, you did a SeaWorld thing too.
Oh yeah, you did do the SeaWorld. You did 2 different SeaWorld stunts, didn't you?
Yeah, I sure did. Yeah. That was during my like militant vegan phase when my approach to animal advocacy.
Well, you don't have to be a vegan to protest SeaWorld. What SeaWorld does is fucking criminal, bro.
Right. Yeah.
Didn't you go to jail for one of them?
I was sentenced to 30 days in jail I ended up serving 8 hours.
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Was that the one on the crane?
Yep. Yeah. It was expensive. It was expensive and arguably worth the publicity. But like just looking back on that one, like I'm not proud of the wasting of emergency first responders resources, like there were so many like fire trucks and cops, and it was just like, what a waste, and it was dumb. Like I'm on a crane nowhere near SeaWorld. Like the reason I did that was because my buddies and I had just gotten like our first drone. We just learned how to fly the drone. And like, so now what are we going to film with the drone? Like to get something awesome, like I now need to get myself hella up in the air. So I'm just like looking up at like, and I see cranes and I'm like, well, it'd be kind of rad to be like treacherously on a gnarly, super tall crane and have the drone shot of that. But that's only half an idea. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm like, all right, well, if I'm on a crane, we'll get the cool drone shot. I'll bring an inflatable whale that says SeaWorld sucks and blow up fireworks. Like, all right. Like, sure. I remember after doing that, there were so many people for years who were like, hey, man, I really respect like what you did to stand up against SeaWorld. And, on one level, sure, like I suppose my heart was in the right place, but also at the same time, like I was just attention whoring. I was that was just me. Like if I do this, I'll get attention, headlines, and I certainly did. But between wasting the emergency responders, time and being a blatant, attention grab and like sort of negative reinforcement approach to animal advocacy.
Yeah.
Like, that's sort of a trifecta of not my proudest moment.
It helped though, right? Because I think right after that,
it was, I think, coincidental that like within 2 weeks of that, there was the first legislation that said no more breeding of orcas in captivity. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, because they would go out and just straight up capture those orcas and dolphins and put them in those tanks.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think at this point, like whatever orcas are in captivity, then that's it. And then once they've all, died, then I don't know that you can replace them anymore.
Yeah.
Certainly can't breed them anymore in captivity.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree. It's terrible.
Because you're like literally driving them crazy. Like they're like mentally ill when they're in those tanks.
Dude,
you can just slowly die. It's like slow death, and they're fucking. I'm sure they become some level of like psychotic.
For sure. I mean, I think that's just the fact of their dorsal fin flopping over. It's like they've just like lost their will, or whatever, like broken their spirit.
Yeah.
And like it's terrible, But I think if I were to point to something that upsets me like way more, it's just like the grand scale of animal agriculture, the factory farming. You know, like that's like that's so widespread. It's on such a huge scale.
And not only is it terrible for fucking nature, but it's also terrible for humans too to eat that stuff.
I think so. I haven't eaten any meat other than seafood for more than 17 years.
Really?
Yeah.
I think seafood's probably the healthiest.
And like I believe I don't think that dying's that big of a deal. I mean, sure, it's just like everybody's got to die. I think it's living that's difficult. Like suffering in life is what I think we want to avoid. And for me to imagine a fish that lives in the ocean naturally, it has a great life, and then ultimately at the end of its life it's caught, and like it had a good life is what's important to me. And where I've gone back and forth between eating no meat whatsoever and eating seafood, I believe that I was just doing my body all kinds of not helpful with chicken,
all vegan?
that, like the Beyond Burgers. They're delicious.
Yeah.
It's great, but that's not food, dude.
No.
That's an absurd substance.
It's something made in a lab. Like chemists in a lab, like trying to figure out like how do we make this thing look more like a burger and taste more like a burger and like all the chemicals and shit that are in it.
It's terrible.
They're so bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. So I just think that my body recognizes seafood as actual food, and that now with all the overfishing in the oceans, there's another fucking huge problem. Eating fish am I contributing to the destruction of the ecosystem of the ocean and the whole balance of nature, and like there's no more fucking fish. What do they say that the plastic in the ocean will outweigh fish like in the near future?
Really? I wouldn't be surprised.
Seen a lot of reports where they find like tons of chemicals in fish that's in the water and microplastics in fish now, and it's like
So when did you find God? You were talking about God a minute ago.
Find God, I don't know. Like if I was to pinpoint a time when I had spiritual inclinations, it would absolutely be before I got sober. Like I had wild psychosis, like hallucinations, like hearing voices, and to this day, I absolutely believe that was
like when you were on ketamine.
Ketamine, don't remember hearing voices on ketamine, but yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on with that, particularly like the combination of cocaine and nitrous oxide and sleep deprivation was I would say my main portal into to
Jesus.
Not Jesus. Like I don't care for religion so much. Like I if I have a spiritual belief about the what's beyond our 3D physical human experience, I get it from accounts of near-death experiences, which are very
DMT.
I don't know about DMT, but there's just a lot of people, I mean, perhaps millions, certainly thousands, who have one way or another died,
right,
and had the experience of what's beyond death, but come back into their body. And these accounts are consistent enough. You got people all over the world and they're describing the same things. They're like across the board, fairly universally, they describe being enveloped by unfathomable love and bliss, and then all of a sudden they this experience that they had as a human being is kind of revealed to be an illusion. They're like, oh, that was kind of weird, and but this love is actually their home, and there's have
you ever had a near-death experience?
I've not. No, I've just.
That's shocking.
Yeah, I've had lots of I'm not okay moments, but never died and came back. But what's particularly I don't know, important to me, I suppose, is in these near-death experience accounts, there's a lot of descriptions of what's called life review. People say that that when you die, your life flashes before your eyes. And there's that's a really another consistent part of this whole NDE thing, where people describe that on the other side of death, there's not the constraint of time. Somehow time doesn't apply in the spirit realm, whatever. So when you think, oh, your life flashes before your eyes, it's without the constraint of time, you've got real immersion into this life review, as it's called. And the purpose of it is not so that you can, reminisce and reflect. It's rather you experience all of these notable moments from your life. People describe experiencing these notable moments from the perspective of the people who they had an effect on. So everybody that like you just shit on and bummed out, like did harm to, like upset, like, as well as everybody who you spread joy to and made them feel great. Like you have the experience of how you made other people feel
through their perspective,
as them, straight up as them, and without the constraint of time and in unfathomable detail. Like,
dude, how the fuck does that work?
Well, I mean,
I don't think you can come up with any sort of like conventional, like scientific explanation for that.
I absolutely concur that it would be beyond our limited capabilities to properly understand it. I think that people who have these near-death experiences, there's so much irrefutable evidence where people are like not registering any like sign of life, period. They've got like they're flatlined, like they're not conscious.
Totally. Yeah.
They're demonstrably not conscious, but they come back, they come back to life and then like tell the doctors what was going on.
Experience,
they're like, oh, I was floating up above the room. I saw you grab this. Oh yeah, and you had the stain on your shirt. Like, they know, like, and the doctors are confounded. Like, wait,
right.
there is no way that this person was conscious, yet they're telling me what happened. And like, right. I'm just really confident that there's a lot of irrefutable evidence to that point. So you get to, what seems to me to be a very logical conclusion that you cannot point to the brain as being a generator of consciousness. We seem to have evidence that consciousness exists separate from our brain activity.
Mm-hmm.
And that we cannot, science can't figure that out.
Right.
Science can figure out that, like, I mean, just, the doctors being told what happened in the room by someone who is dead, they're like, okay, they know. We don't know how they know. We don't know how consciousness exists separate from the brain. But my, like, dumb little theory is that the brain, rather than being a transmitter of consciousness, rather than being the originator of consciousness, it's simply the brain is like a receiver. Kind of like our brain is like effectively picking up the signal of our soul,
a Wi-Fi signal.
And so then if you take this analogy like a step further, then you imagine like a radio picking up a signal. You can take a sledgehammer, you can destroy the radio to no end, absolutely obliterate it, but you've done nothing to affect the signal that brain was receiving. So if you follow that analogy, then it kind of makes sense that we could have the death of our body, but have consciousness separate from the body. And I
just
think
like floating through the ether.
Yeah, and like, I get like pretty into some wild stuff. Like I had this little phase where I was reading about the Pleiadians. I don't even know if you say that right, but like in all this like different crazy theories that I've read. One thing that stuck out to me quite a bit was the scientific. The science community, I think, agrees that 95% of human DNA, they've got no clue what it's for. And the scientific term for like this 95% of our DNA is junk DNA.
Yeah.
Can you look up junk DNA?
Yeah.
And I'm not like sure if I'm remembering this right, but like they effectively. If I remember correctly, like the scientific community cannot figure out what 95% of our DNA is for. And I heard a crazy theory that
claim is that 95% of human DNA is junk. Has been a topic of significant debate in the scientific community. Historically, much of the human genome was considered non-coding and thus labeled as junk DNA.
Now, I just simply why this was impactful for me is because 95% of our DNA being called junk. I just
that seems unrealistic, right?
I mean, I personally think that there's a little bit more of an underlying intelligence going on in the universe than to just be making that much garbage that's not good for anything. And the theory that I read was that there's like all these I don't know, what do you want to call it, like entities, gods, spirits, and that originally that humans, that we were multi-dimensional beings, that we were, and that's what the 95% of the DNA was for, is that we
sound
were
like Billy Carson right now.
Yeah, like multi-dimensional in the sense that I don't know, we had our soul was like active, more actively, not separate from our body, and the theory in this Pleiadians was that that the humans became too as multidimensional beings, we were too difficult to control. So it said that some 300,000 years ago, wanting to be controlled, or wanting to be able to control us, that they unplugged like 95% of our DNA. So we're no longer multidimensional beings. But like if you look at the people dying and knowing what happened when they were literally dead, and then you think, okay, well, there is consciousness operating separate from brain activity,
right?
Then but then again, it's all just silly.
Well, maybe that's
theories.
Maybe it's similar to like when you're playing a video game and you die and it just like plays your death back over again, or like you can go back and like rewind and play through it. It could be something like that.
Perhaps, but again, like the people describing the life review, it's like the key purpose, clearly, is to reap what you sow. Like the idea that that you experience everything as those who you had an impact on.
Right.
Now, like I think that a lot of different religions, like spiritual, it's common, like the concept of oneness, that like we're all interconnected, that we're all like effectively just one thing. I've heard it described as we're all eyes in the same head. I personally love the theory that all of creation is an exercise in the universe experiencing itself. Because if you think of the universe as one thing by definition cannot have experience, because there's no other thing to relate to.
Right.
Like you can't have up without down, left without right. You can't have good without bad. So like and I think that my spiritual take on it would be that this is what like Big Bang was. Like science, for all of its greatness, talks about Big Bang, but they're not even going anywhere near what banged.
Right.
I mean, you could be like really pretty sure that there was a Big Bang, but like, what are we doing here if you don't have any idea of what like it was that banged?
Right.
Like what came before that? So
how did it? Yeah.
So everybody's in the dark. I really, really don't do well with Jesus died for my sins. Like, so what? Like, you do a bunch of like fucked up shit and it's cool because it's on Jesus's tab.
Right.
And furthermore, like, however late in your life that you decide to be saved by Jesus, like, you're cool. So you can just wait until you're on your deathbed after being a complete shitbag for your whole life.
Right.
And then, but Jesus, and it's just going to be absolved and everything's cool.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like, all of the people who I love who are of Muslim faith, Jewish, like they're going to be burning in hell because they didn't accept Jesus as their savior. Like, I've always said that if heaven's all it's cracked up to be, I'd love to check it out, but not without every person who I love. And I love a lot of people who, by Christian standards, are going to hell. So I guess it's hell for me. And it just seems so silly on top of that, too, because Jesus, like, pretty well documented that Jesus lived 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So how did anybody get to heaven before 2,000 years ago? There were humans before Jesus.
Yeah.
So are they all burning in hell?
That's a good question, bro. I've never thought about that.
What are we doing here? I've asked this question many times, and I've heard that they were like, oh, no, before then you could do like sacrifice animals or some weird dark shit.
Oh, my God.
Like... It's silly, man.
Dude, that's interesting. I never fucking thought about that.
And check this out, dude. Like my dad, very, very logical person, like almost devoid of emotion, I would say. Like I consider him like a human logic machine. And he like kind of went with the Christianity for like a minute there. And he was like, I don't know if I can really do this for the rest of my life. It would kind of like get in the way of me living the way I want to live. And so like he got very, very like into the weeds on trying to get himself like free of like all the dogma and the fear and stuff. And so like he would go on to like quite study theology, and he befriended this pastor in England where he was living. The pastor either became fluent in like Greek and Aramaic to be able to read the original transcripts in the original languages or he just became more familiar with the Aramaic. And what this guy said, and this is really, to me, a big-ass deal, because the whole Jesus died for my sins, and the only way to go to heaven is by accepting Jesus Christ as your Savior, like, comes from one line in the English translation. And the translation is, the only way to my Father is through me. But my dad's pastor buddy says that the actual original scriptures, the Aramaic, the Greek, and an equally valid translation of that line would be, now that Jesus saying, now that I've come to share my teachings, it will be easier to find God. Like... And it like, as I understand it, it all boils down to that one line, how you translate that one line. Yeah. But like, it's a lot easier for me to buy that there are more than one teacher, that there's more than one viable way to find God.
Right.
Than like this, it's Jesus or you're going to hell.
Right.
Regardless of how you acted.
Right.
And so,
Well, there's also lots of different scholarly people who have translated different original texts and have come up with like all kinds of different theories on Jesus. Like Christianity, over the millennia, the people that running the churches have intentionally redacted and added in shit to fit the narrative of what they want it to be.
Dude, the what is it? The Nicene. The Nicene Council.
Oh, the Council of Nicaea.
Yeah, the Council of Nicaea.
It's where they agreed like what they're going to include and what they're going to leave out.
Yeah, that one. That was a pretty dodgy.
Yeah.
And now with that said too, and I here I am just like bashing on Jesus, and I don't want to do that because that's just not helpful.
Right.
And my dad, I was talking to him the other night because I saw him on this trip, and I don't know that I had heard him say this. He said that if you took completely at random 100 Christians and put them in a room, and then completely at random 100 non-religious people and put them in another room, he said, I think that Christian room's a way happier room.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, this is something I think about a lot too. Like I notice a lot of people who like when they get older, they just sort of like people, even when they're young, they like would mock Christianity or religion because it's like, my parents are religious, old people are religious, fuck them. That's like, it's like, you know, you're not supposed to like your teacher or your boss or like the people who make the rules. And the people that are religious make these rules how you have to live your life. So when you're like a young rebel, you automatically want to go the opposite direction.
Sure,
of that.
like the Catholic schoolgirl.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
and
like
those same people when they get old, right.
Yeah, that's how you make a slut. And super Christian shit is how you get people wearing Cannibal Corpse t-shirts.
Fuck exactly. Yeah, bro. Hail Satan. And but those, a lot of people that live that way when they're young will like get old and find God and join Christianity, you know?
Sure. And a lot of people will be super devout Christians and then have a near-death experience and be like, oh, wow, okay, that wasn't it.
Right. And I have absolutely nothing against like people who ascribe to Christianity or Catholicism, as long as you're not hurting people, like, you know, be my guest, do whatever you want.
Right. Yeah. You know, like I've got a buddy of mine, and I was just with him like a couple weeks ago. I've known him since we were 9 years old, 4th grade together. I was actually I was with two guys that came to my property in Tennessee. We've all known each other since 4th grade. Abdullah, super Muslim, super duper Muslim. Yeah. Like when we were in 4th grade, I was at his house, like, you know, praying like to Mecca with him. And it was like, oh, this is cool. This is what we do at Abdullah's house, you know, like, and interestingly too, that, you know, I grew up in 5 different countries, and it was just happened to be, I was 9 years old, I moved to London. And then when I was 12 years old, I moved to Canada. But I moved back to London when I was 13. So, and then
British, Canadian, and American.
Yeah, I have 3 passports.
That's sick.
Legit. And I went to all 4 years of high school in London as well. So from 9 to 18, I was in London at the American school in London for all but a year and a half, which was 7th and half of 8th grade. That whole time, Abdullah and I were just bros. We went through like phases together with like soccer and skateboarding, and you know, like skateboarding was the big one. But we graduated together in 1992. I went to the University of Miami, where we know what happened there. I flunked out at every way you could possibly, you know, every way you could screw up. But Abdullah went to Brown University, graduated with a 4.0. Then he went to Cornell Medical School. Then he became a pediatric surgeon at the Mayo Clinic, where he literally invented methods of operating on babies, unborn babies in the fetal, like he's operating on
while they're in the womb,
babies that have not been born yet. Whoa! He literally invented ways to operate on them, and like just that's his deal. He's like, you know, and he's very specific about. He works in.
Oh God, what a fucking sad thing to have to do, bro. Oh.
I mean, but here's the thing, dude. And he's candid about this. He works in pediatric surgery because he doesn't want to work on adults because they've just so lost their innocence. He's just kind of bummed on them.
Right.
Like he's only trying to help, like, you know, like kind of innocent, you know, the children, and like even better, let's get to them in the womb before they
get out here. Let's give them a fair shot early.
Yeah, dude. So,
guys, I didn't even know that was fucking possible. I've never even heard of that, bro.
Right, and so Abdullah was at my house like literally a couple weeks ago, and I was telling him, I was like, you know, dude, like I talk about you so much, like bragging about, you know, like we're so close. You know, we stay in touch, and we just like there's like legit love there. You know, like I love him, man, and I'm so proud of him. So I'm always bragging about him, how like he invented this way to operate on unborn babies, and I told him, I was like, man, dude, I brag about you so much, and like when you know, when people are talking about religion, I always like, you know, bring you up too, because I love you so much that like I use you as my example of, oh, well, Abdullah, if Abdullah is going to hell because he doesn't accept Jesus, then I can't go to heaven. I got to be hanging with Abdullah in hell, you know?
Yep.
And I told him this like literally less than 2 weeks ago, I think, or 2 weeks ago exactly. I don't know. And he goes, dude, what are you being racist on Christians? He goes, dude, don't be racist, bro.
You already have a Santa Claus getting crucified on your face.
Yeah. He's like, dude, don't. He said, don't do that, man. Like, you believe whatever you want, man, but you know, like, don't be, you know,
yeah, that's fucking
bigoted or whatever. And so I'm with you. Like, as much as I like resist the notion of it, you know, like the exclusivity of it,
right?
You know, as much as I think it's silly, I absolutely concede that people of faith are happier and in a better spot than people without faith,
right?
And I think that some people, when it comes time, they're actually dying. Some people are legitimately at peace with it.
Yes.
Like legitimately go peacefully and they're not super bummed. And then there's some people who are like clinging to life with so much fear and just fearing death, you know?
Yeah.
And I do genuinely believe that the difference between whether you're going to die peacefully or like super in fear is faith. My dad was a big tobacco CEO.
He was?
Yeah. And then
I thought he worked for Pepsi or something.
He did.
Oh, okay, both.
Yeah, he worked for Pepsi. Then he started working for R.J. Reynolds Tobacco. And during the 1980s, it became like really like beyond conclusive that cigarettes caused cancer and killed people and stuff. And so the tobacco companies were kind of scrambling to buy food companies,
right?
You know, kind of like hedging, like this other business going down. Like food's always going to be okay. So at the time, like the biggest corporate merger or takeover, like in like the history of the world, was the merging of RJR Tobacco with Nabisco. It became RJR Nabisco. And my dad had an aberrationally strong year that year. He became like a big old important corporate executive for Nabisco.
What year was this?
This was 1983 going into 1984. Oh, wow. My dad ended up being like the president of Nabisco International.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, I think that's right. So yeah, in retrospect, my dad sold soda, cigarettes, and cookies. So he's a mass murderer.
Oh God, that's fucking hilarious. Oh God, it is the trifecta, dude.
Yeah,
who would have known?
It's funny, man.
God, dude.
My dad's like super like doom and gloom. For like the longest time, he's been talking about like the.
Is he still alive?
Yeah.
Oh,
he's 82.
Holy shit.
You still have a relationship with him?
Super close.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah, big time.
Wow.
And he lives in Florida, so I was just with him.
No shit,
awesome.
dude.
Yeah. Fucking love my dad, dude. He's the
Has
greatest.
he always been a big supporter of everything you've been doing?
No. Like, when, like when I went to the University of Miami and like super like flunked out and, you know, I was homeless, like, and then I ended up going to clown college. Like, you know, he couldn't really get super on board with.
My son's going to clown college.
That's here in Florida too, right?
Yeah, he was in Sarasota.
Sarasota, yeah.
Was being the operative word. They closed it down after my class.
Oh yeah.
The final class was 1997, but it was after clown college. After clown college, and to my dad's credit, before I had earned any kind of money, like being a stunt dude or whatever, or even a clown for that matter, my dad like initiated a conversation with me. He said that he felt he had done a disservice to me by not supporting me in this career path that I had chosen. That but I'm clearly, he said, it's clearly you're committed to this, and so like I just want you to be happy. I want you to be the best. I want you to know that I support you. And like that conversation really put wind in my sails. And I remember like at the time there was this show on TV called Real TV, and the commercials said like, do you have any footage that we might want to see, like this caught on camera, like if you have any footage you think we might want to see, then call this number and send it in. So I called the number and I said, I don't have footage you might want to see. I have footage you need very badly. And they got back to me. They were like, okay, we like the footage of you setting yourself on fire and doing the simultaneous fire-breathing front flip off the roof of the 3-story building, which is what it was. Like, I don't know how they described it, but they said they wanted to pay me $500 for exclusive rights to this video. And I was like, what's exclusive mean? I never heard of that. And they said that means that we own it, that you don't own it anymore, like, and I was like, oh, that's kind of sounds like that sucks, like, and so I called up my dad, like kind of freaking like, dad, and I'll never forget, my dad was like, hey, calm down, this is easy, it's a no-brainer, like it sounds like exclusivity is a deal breaker for you, so tell them that you want it to be non-exclusive, meaning that they have the rights to use it, but you still own it. Mm-hmm. And tell them that they need to give you $1,000 for non-exclusive. And so I just said that, and they gave it to me.
It worked.
Yeah.
So from that point, my dad was in my corner. Like
super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he was like
greasing the business wheels.
Yeah,
he's looking out for you.
He wasn't like thrilled about me like risking my life and like the nature of what I did, but he accepted it and he got behind me on the business side of it.
That's incredible, dude.
Yeah. So what initially like kind of put us apart, it ultimately brought us together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Super cool.
That is really cool.
And like super together. So my dad retired when he was, I don't know, I guess maybe 50. So I'm at the age right now when my dad retired. Yeah. And at this point, my dad's on my payroll.
Really?
Yeah, it's been,
he probably didn't see that coming.
Dude, CEO in Nabisco, I pictured you to be living in like a waterfront mansion in like Naples or something.
He's got some water.
Yeah.
I mean, not Naples. He's in South Florida over on like the West Palm side.
Oh, okay. So an even bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not crazy. Like it's not.
It's
crazy.
modest.
He's been retired for a long time. Like he, I think it's as if he's comfortable. Lives reasonably modestly, but very very comfortably and.
Yeah.
And he's awesome, man. He's just
Palm Beach ain't cheap, dude.
Mm-hmm. Is he over there playing golf?
He plays golf twice. Dude, I just played my first round of golf.
Oh, no way, man.
Last week.
First ever.
Oh, man.
First ever, yeah, because I've got this property in Tennessee, like this 44 acres. I got all this land. And it was just like, I was like, oh, man, like what do we do for fun? And I was like, I'm going to get a golf club. Just whack. I don't know what I was doing. I just got one golf club. I think it was like, if I had to guess, it would be like a 3-wood or a 4-wood, and I was just about the one club and a bunch of balls and I was some tees. I was just like, I'm just gonna whack it, and like I no clue what I'm doing, but I just started having more fun, and it seemed like each time I did it, I got like a little bit better at like whacking the play, and finally I was like, you know what, this is just getting too fun. I think I'm gonna give it a try. And my girl, we're always like, she loves Goodwill and thrift stores, so and the thrift store is like some garage sale ass like wedge clubs. I'm like, oh dude, now I'm gonna start working with these ones. I start like doing like little chip shots at my ranch, and
so addicting.
Yeah.
So you play golf?
Oh yeah,
yeah. We played too.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I've done 9 holes. Yeah, it was my first, and we filmed the whole thing. You know, my dad's not going to be around forever, and like I know that golf is probably going to be something that like
you guys can bond over.
Well, yeah, and like even like beyond like when my dad's not around, like golf's just gonna like represent that, like it's gonna be like a connection to him or something, like